Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is our 12th in our series called the Makeup or the Business Savvy Makeup Artist. And we like to have fun a little bit. So Jacqueline and I have been doing this series. We've both been professionals. I've actually been a professional for over 22 years in the cosmetology industry. I'm a former salon owner. I am in Wisconsin. I'm a national trainer, and my passion really is, helping other professionals just with anything I can. So I kind of reached out to Jacqueline, and we decided to do a series. We have people that are always reaching out to us, asking us all sorts of questions. So Jacqueline, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Okay, will do. Well, first, before I do that, I'd like to cheers you ladies right now. Take a moment and really get it together. Let's priorities.
Cheers. Cheers. Mine
Cheers
is a
to you guys
drink.
at home. Mine's super healthy too, Cabernet. Anyway, I'm Jacqueline Menconi, and I'm also a professional. I'm a professional makeup artist in New Jersey, and I work primarily in commercial and television, and I do some bridal as well. And we are super excited today to have Rachel Lorraine, one of my very good friends. We have Rachel all the way from Ohio. Rachel, thanks for joining us today. So, Rachel has over a decade worth of experience in the beauty industry. She specializes in on-location makeup for bridal and special events. She's also an award-winning makeup artist. Hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that later. Whether it's one-on-one personal consultation or making an entire bridal party look and feel their best, Rachel loves every single minute of what she does, and she takes great pride in her work and is committed to providing a one-of-a-kind beauty experience tailored exclusively to her clients' needs. So, Rachel, thank you so much for being here. We're so happy that you're here.
Hi, ladies.
Yeah,
thank
you. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
Just like a mermaid.
If you hear me screaming, our Cleveland Indians are in the World Series today. So that game's happening now, and I'm getting updates on my phone.
Oh my goodness.
So I turned them off, so hopefully I won't hear them. But it's a very exciting time to be in Cleveland.
Good. So we have a lot of questions for you. I'm going to start sharing my screen so that everybody can follow all of us on social media. So hopefully you guys can see my screen at this point, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. So so Rachel, I'm going to ask you the first question. Okay? So that is, how did you get involved in the beauty industry? How did it come about?
So I think it's safe to say that I kind of was born into it. I remember being a little girl, and I know everyone kind of starts with these stories, but I mean, it's really kind of funny. I remember my mom sending me outside to play, and I would get so mad because I would get dirt underneath my fingernails, and I would come in the house, and I would be distraught that she ruined my manicure, like my freshly painted nail polish that usually I had convinced one of my brothers to paint, and I would be hysterical. So that's probably my earliest memory of being interested, and I remember countless fights with my mom about how much makeup was appropriate, when I was allowed to start wearing makeup. I mean, many groundings because I would sneak makeup into school when I was in 5th grade. So, I mean, it started pretty early.
Wow.
Definitely in my blood. I was born a girly girl. When I got into high school, I moved around a lot. So a little tidbit about me is my stepdad was a general manager for GM. So we moved around every 2 years, opening up these new plants. Pros and cons to that. Obviously, it makes you really flexible. But I went to 13 different schools before I graduated high school. So 5 of those were in high school. So moved around a lot. I ended up in this small town here in Ohio. I had lived in Georgia for a couple years, and when I moved to Ohio, I moved to like this really small town called Rittman, which is like 25 minutes west of Akron. So everyone knows where Akron is. Everyone's familiar with LeBron, right? So,
Yep.
long story short, I wasn't at the school really long enough to like really care about college, and I was looking for alternative. I didn't really want to go to college, didn't want to move away, and so I went to the vocational center. I started going to the career center, vocational center, they call it different things, which offered cosmetology. I don't really remember why. I just was like, I know hair and makeup. I'm a beauty girl. Like, I like to be pretty. I'm going to go to school for this. So I did. I did really well. I was, top of my class. I don't think I was number one, but I was in the top like 3 or 4 of my class. I did really well with it, and that's kind of how I just got introduced to it. But as we'll kind of get into later, I didn't stay that route, but that was kind of my first, introduction.
Wow, that's I didn't know any of that about you, so that's pretty cool. I love that. So you started to go to school, and then, what sort of happened with that when you graduated? Like, tell us where your career took you at that point.
So after graduating high school, I worked in a salon for a while, and no disrespect, but it was like a chain salon. It was one of the salons that was more focused on producing, like on retail sales. My bonus was dependent on how much retail I sold. And I kid you not, I would have 10 customers a day, and 9 of them would be male haircuts. Barbershops are real popular now, but 12, 13 years ago in 2004, when 2003, 2004, when I was graduating, being in the mall, and again, no offense, everyone's different. For me, I wasn't challenged. I got into this, like, if you think about like a manufacturing, it was like, get them in, get them out, sell the product, keep them moving. And I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't enjoyable for me. So very quickly, I think within a year, I got discouraged, and I started serving, and I kind of hopped around different restaurants serving. I was at this point in my early 20s trying to find myself. Didn't want to go to college, didn't want to work in a chain salon. I had actually auditioned. People in Ohio will be familiar with this salon for Charles Penzone, which is a really high-end, very reputable salon in Ohio. And you have to go through like this year apprentice program with them. So they have like housing and stuff that they give you, and
Wow.
you go and you like shadow for like a year. Well, I got accepted to that, and I didn't show up for my first day. So here I am, like 19, 20 years old, and I was like, it was 2 hours from home. I'm like, I don't want to go 2 hours from home again, so I'm still serving. One of my customers offered me a job doing a receptionist position. He's like, you can still serve on the weekends. Come, I'll pay you like $8, $9 an hour, answer phones. Customers will love you because you're friendly. He's like, it's a small business, lots of room to grow. So I did really well in that company, worked my way up, doubled my salary in like 3 years, reached the plateau point there, and was like, yeah, I'm really good at this business thing. Like, I'm doing really good here. And so I found a company, a Fortune 500 company. I applied and was like, this is really a shot in the dark. I don't have a college degree. Everyone that's applying for these positions has got minimum a bachelor's degree, some of them, a master's. So I applied. It was it's a retirement, like finance brokerage, industry. I got accepted. They accepted me, created a position just for me, and I doubled my salary. I doubled my salary from the previous job to this job, and I was like, at the time, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was a lot for me at like 20. I think it was 23 by this point, and it was kind of like my break. I was like, God, I made this. I did this without a college degree. Like, all right, here we go. And then there. I was in a building of like 600 people, and the company had, I want to say, like 2,000 to 3,000 employees across the world, and I did really well. I got a lot of awards. I did a lot of project development, project management stuff. It was just like, all right, here's my niche. Like, I'm doing good at this, and so that was, again, that was 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And while I was there, a pattern started happening. People would stop me in the hallways and be like, oh my God, I love your makeup. Oh my God, I love your hair. Where'd you buy those shoes? Can I pay you to come shopping with me? And I'm like, okay, like I don't know how this is gonna go. I would literally go and like help them pick out lipsticks. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't trained. Like when you go to cosmetology school, they don't teach you lipstick.
Yeah.
They don't teach you makeup. They teach you how to cut hair, how to highlight, how color correction, stuff like that. It's really very minimum makeup. I still at this point didn't have any idea that I loved makeup. I was good. I liked doing it on myself, and this thing just evolved. I literally was being stopped in the hallway like once a week by people I had never met before or people that I had seen. Like, oh my God, I love your makeup. What lipstick do you have on today? I will pay you to do this. Like, whatever you're doing, like, come do it for me. And so
You're natural.
this doesn't happen, right? And I have a lot of friends who own salons. I have 4 very, very close friends who own their own salons and are doing well. And then I had a really good friend that was a photographer who specializes in weddings. And this thing, I know it sounds weird just to say, but it just developed. And I became more interested in it. It was like right when like the YouTube blogs started coming out and the beauty blogs. And I was like, okay, well maybe I'll do blogging because I'm influencing people, right? And that's what these influencers are doing. That wasn't really a key term at the time. In retrospect, I realized what's happening, but at the time I was like, maybe I'll start a blog. So I started this blog called Diary of a Pretty Girl. And my mom named it. I took a big poll on Facebook and everyone voted for it. They're like, yeah, you're pretty, this will be awesome. So I started doing this blog called Diary of a Pretty Girl. And it was just like, what was I wearing? Where was I shopping? Where was I going? And I don't remember how many followers. I think I ended up with like 100 followers, which wasn't a lot. Wasn't consistent and didn't do well. And then a couple years, like a year or so of that, I was like, you know what? I want to be a makeup artist. I don't know the moment that it happened. I really don't. It was just like one day, all of a sudden, I was like, I'm going to do this. And I started telling people, well, I'm going to be a makeup artist. And they were just like, absolutely, come do my makeup. No brainer. And it was all bridal. Like out the gate, people were like, come do my makeup for my wedding. I had no idea what I had signed up for. None. Like I would just show up and, I would show up and do this makeup, not even understanding the importance of what I was doing. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this girl's makeup. It's going to be beautiful. And then within a couple times, I was like, this is a big deal. Like I had no contract. I didn't even have my own products. I was borrowing products from my girlfriend. I am not recommending that anyone start this way. It just happened for me that way. I don't advertise that because I think we can all attest we've met many, many professionals, and I got lucky. I think I made a lot of lucky, I took a lot of risks that worked out in my favor, I guess I would say. So, and then the rest is kind of history.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, I feel like it just sort of all fell into place for you, and you just were destined to be where you are now. I mean, that's really remarkable. I love that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty incredible too because you obviously always loved makeup, right? You always had an affinity for beauty, and I think it was like you were just being pushed kind of in that direction this whole time, whether like you realized it or not, and then lo and behold, here you are now, being one of the most sought after makeup artists in Ohio. And it's like how many brides did you have this past year or last year?
This year I think I'm gonna close with like 62. 62 for 60.
How many weeks are in a year again? 52. And how many brides did you have?
I had a minimum of like 62 brides. That doesn't
and just to double check, 52 weeks in a year, right? And you had 62 brides?
Yeah.
So, and And that's just brides. That doesn't include the bridesmaids, the mother of the bride, mother of the groom, grandparents, aunts, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I have a 4-person minimum to book. So that's like at minimum 62 times 4.
yeah,
Faces
minimum.
that I touch.
That's major.
And that's just weddings. So keep in mind, just weddings.
Yeah.
Very busy
So
year.
that's pretty insane.
It's basically impossible. I'm surprised I still have my sanity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I know you, Rachel, so it is questionable. No, I'm just kidding. I love you so much.
I'm gonna keep drinking margarita.
So then my next question to you is, at what point did you decide, you know what, this is me. This is what I'm gonna do. It's not just, you know, oh, I'm good at it, so I'll give it a shot. Not that. We're already past that. You already told us that you started doing some weddings by accident, basically, and borrowing someone else's makeup to do it. So at what point were you like, okay, I'm going to start branding myself. You know, this is it. I'm going to be a professional from now on. Like, what made you come to that realization? What did you do?
It's hard, like, to say the day again. You know, I remember the moment. I remember sitting at my desk, and I want to say that I wanted to go somewhere and I couldn't because of work. Oh, I remember. I was arguing with my manager about my time. So, to try and make a really long story, is I moved departments, and my old manager would allow me flexible time. So I would like come in early on Tuesdays and Thursdays and leave early so I could go to the gym, right? So it was like I basically had a customized schedule, which was kind of unheard of in this company, but it depended on the department. So when I moved departments, they didn't want me to do that anymore. And I'm like, like I could still do the same amount of work, and they really, really pushed back. So here's my little side business, and you know, I really wasn't making a lot of money. It was mostly just fun. I was like, oh God, yeah, I get to do this girl's makeup. It's amazing. And I remember sitting there going, like, I can't do this. I can't work on someone else's schedule. And also working on someone else's schedule, not really being super passionate about what I'm doing. Now, I loved it. Now, I joke and say that, and I'll kind of leeway into, I still have this other job. Now, I since left that company. I work for a smaller company now that does allow a little bit more flexibility. It's a little bit more intimate. It's not a big corporate job anymore because I wanted to focus on my makeup. And I joke that it feeds both sides of my brain. Not that, which clearly tells you I did not know what I was doing when I started the business, because I was like, I'm going to do makeup. I'm going to be a makeup artist, which seems very simple. And I did. And so I started this business, and I was like, okay, well, I need a name. And I knew that I couldn't use my full name. So my full name is Rachel Gollihue. All of my family and friends know me as Rachel Gollihue. My middle name is Lorraine. So I had seen some local artists who inspired me, who had these beautiful, like, very feminine names. And I'm like, well, what if I use my first and middle name? It's very feminine. It's easy to remember. Rachel Lorraine. It just sounds girly, catchy. I was like, all right, so we're going to be Rachel Lorraine. And it kind of was just this joke, because I didn't really want my other companies, my other employer to know that I was like doing this other business. Like, well, they can't really track me down that way either, because they're not going to be looking for Rachel Lorraine. So it just kind of unfolded. And I remember knowing in the beginning, and this is kind of my business sense, is I did marketing for my employer, and I knew that branding was very important. I would spend 6 hours in marketing meetings arguing with companies about brand, about whose brand was more important. So I knew how important a brand was. So I came up with Makeup by Rachel Lorraine. I really flirted with the idea of coming up with, and no offense, Jacqueline, I know you have one of those catchy slogans. I really flirted with that, and everyone was like, don't do it, you'll get sick of it. Like anything catchy, because I was going to use Gloss Glam Squad, was what I had originally started using.
Oh, and that is good you did not go that route.
Now that I say it, right? It's a mouthful now that I say it. And glam squat's like the big no-no right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So everyone's like, no, like a bunch of photographers are really famous for doing that. They just use their name because your name doesn't ever expire. And so I'm like, all right. So I just used Makeup by Lorraine because that's all I was doing. I wasn't really doing hair. The second part of that is I needed to decide what products I wanted to use. Here, I had seen some stuff online. At the time, MAC was the biggest thing that I knew of, and I'm like, I don't really want to use MAC because I can't resell it. And I knew early that if I carried products, clients would want it, and I had to have something I could sell because otherwise they're just going to go to MAC and get it if I have MAC products in my kit. So I'm like, And I remember this girl on Facebook. I didn't really know her. And we had some mutual friends, and she had been posting about New York Fashion Week, and she'd been using Motives products. And all. I just say that because I'm familiar with it. But she had been using this product called Motives. And I'm like, I never heard of this before. And it caught my eye. So I remember reaching out to her saying, hey, I want to start a makeup business. I want to carry products that can retail. Can you tell me about this Motives? She was like, oh, my God, yes. And I think I met with her like 2 days later. I was sold. I was like, I can retail it. It's high-end products, like hypoallergenic, custom blend. Like they can go online and buy it. They don't have to come to me. They have to buy it from me. And I'm like, sold. Like sold. That's all I needed to know. So she actually was very gracious and literally gave me her kits. She's like, use this. She gave it to me for like 2 weeks. She's like, use it. Tell me how you love it. I'll help you. I'll invest in you. Like, let's do this. And she literally gave me all of her entire makeup kit. And I don't know if Renee's on here. She actually brought me into the Motives business. If it wasn't for her, don't know if I'd be where I'm at now because it would have been a much slower process. It's hard. It's hard starting from nothing, from 2 lip glosses and a couple of mascaras. Like, I'm going to be a makeup artist. I mean, it's a lot of money to invest in that kit. So I was very nervous about doing it, but I knew, again, in retrospect, how everything's turned out. I'm like, oh, yeah, I knew. I think, again, I just made some calculated, like, risky decisions that worked in my favor because I could have partnered with another company. We know all the direct marketing companies out there. I looked at them, and I won't name them, but I was like, well, this is a little bit cheaper to invest in, for maybe some 20, how old was I, 26, still living at home at the time. I was like, oh, well, $200 versus maybe like $700. And again, I'm just saying like really loose costs. I mean, I have no idea at this point what it would cost to even start your own makeup kit. It's a long process. But I knew that cheap wasn't the best option. And I knew that a product that wasn't gearing towards professionals wasn't going to get me where I wanted. Something about me is I'm like an all or nothing kind of person. So when I started and I really was like, I'm going to be a makeup artist, I was like, I'm going to be the best makeup artist. Like, I will be the best, and I'm not going to stop until someone's like, that's the best. And it's been a crazy 4 years since I started.
I love that. and that's why you're, doing so well. I mean, I think that's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
So I have to ask, so you talked about, looking at different product lines and things like that. And I like the fact that you recognized early on, well, I need something I can retail. Because do you find that a lot of the brides you work with, or just clients in general, when they like something, they always say, where can I get this? So I love that you recognize that, because a lot of people that I talk to, they're used to the way that the industry is set up where, okay, you get a pro discount, but we don't want you retailing our product. Whereas, when you talk about Motives Cosmetics, they have a system where it's like, no, we want to make the professional successful, so we're going to give you a program where you are able to retail. But talk about the quality and what you found with the products too, because you mentioned a little bit about having more of a professional product versus, companies out there that just sort of have, a makeup line. So, tell me about the quality of what you're using.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I found Motives, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I will tell you a couple of the things that really reeled me in was the fact that they were like custom products. I remember Renee telling me that the eyeshadows were not just like one flat formula and they put dyes in them. They were like all custom formulas. And when I touched them, you can just tell like they're beautiful. I had used MAC. I was a big Urban Decay lover. Everyone loves the freaking Naked palettes. I still love them. They are beautiful eyeshadows. But I found this Motives. I got more product for less. The color payoff was just as high, or better in some cases.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I get all the fallout, so I'm not wasting a bunch of product, and I can sell it. And I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna spend $50 on maybe this Naked palette, or I want to say the MAC eyeshadows are like what, $18, $15? I think they just lowered them within the last year, so I'm not sure. They're between 15 and 18. I think ours are like now like what, $12, and they're bigger. And I just think that I think it's argumentative. Are they better? Are they at least equal? You know, every product's different. We're makeup artists. I love makeup. I fell in love with everything that they had to offer. The variety, you know, for a pro artist, I couldn't be limited to like 20 colors, which I find with some other like direct marketing companies, they don't have the variety that Motives offers. And quite frankly, now, a couple years in the business, we're coming out with new products twice a year. Amazing products. And, you know, it just, again, at the time I didn't quite know that. I think what really reeled me in was the quality. It was high quality. I felt like it was geared towards professionals. They had palettes, so it wasn't just consumer branded products like, you know, like the Naked palettes and the Urban Decay, which I think are more geared towards the consumer.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's really, you know, someone was telling me about, you know, our liquid mineral foundation, and that really fascinated with me. And I'm not a science person, so I don't remember all the science behind it, but I love that it was a liquid mineral and it wears like an airbrush. So airbrushes, if we know this big buzzword, people don't really need it, they think they need it. So as long as you can give them an airbrush finish, that's really what they're asking for. They're asking for Photoshop, but they're using the word airbrush. So I fell in love with the foundation. I'll be honest, when I used it the first time, I didn't like it. I was like, because I had been using something that was super dewy. And I'm like, I don't know, it's really matte, I don't know. But I hated all the pictures I was in. I hated it because it was super shiny and greasy looking, and by the end of the day, my makeup was like greasing off of my face. So I ran out. I ended up having to use Motives. And I ended up having to use it for a couple weeks, and I'm like, that was like 3 years ago, and I have never used anything since. I try sometimes to play with stuff just because I'm bored, and you see a $90 foundation, and you're like, why is this $90? I need to know why this is $90. It's that way.
Right.
I go back to my like $33 Motives foundation. I mean, that's what I have on today. I love it. I will tell you that my clients love the lightweightness of it. It gives them full coverage. It's buildable, but it's breathable, which is so important because as a bridal makeup artist, the brides don't want to feel like their face is caked on. It's like one of the first things they'll tell me is I don't want to feel like I have a lot of makeup on. And I'm like, I got you. We're going to cover it all up, but your face is still going to breathe, and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Or they're like, I don't want it to look like I'm wearing a lot of makeup or anything like that, because some of them don't wear a lot of makeup normally, so they don't want to, you know, look so different and feel different. So that's awesome to know. Jacqueline, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so now you're really kind of getting into the whole Motives thing for us right now. And for those of you who don't know, you know, both Leigh and myself also decided as professionals to partner with Motives. Leigh, how long ago did you partner with Motives?
6 or 7 years, I want to say now. It's been a while. I don't even know.
And then myself, I partnered with a line back in like October of 2012. So we've all kind of been around for a while, and we all were still professionals or at least Leigh and I were still professionals prior to getting involved with motives and partnering with motives, and we all know that Rachel has been a makeup
I just
lover.
did it all at one time. I was like, makeup, just jumped in.
But you know what, though, Rachel? It goes to show you that if you want to do something, right? And I'm not just saying you specifically. I'm saying the general you. If you want to do something, and if you're in a job that you don't like, and you have, a passion that's elsewhere, that is not in that building, not in that industry, let's just say, for instance, I don't know, it's makeup. You can go from your 9 to 5 and do makeup on the side if bridal makeup is your thing. Or you can, if you are brave enough, leave your 9 to 5 completely and pursue other avenues of makeup artistry, like, for instance, what I did with commercials and television. Or you can go a salon route, like Leigh did, and then, as your salon clientele is building and building, be able to expand and do whatever you want with bridal and event and photo shoots, just like Leigh did. So it's pretty versatile, and it's pretty incredible that you, Rachel, personally went from, and you're still doing it now, from a 9 to 5 in a place that you weren't loving, to leaving that place, realizing you wanted to be a makeup artist, starting that business, and still having your 9 to 5 all the while now. It's pretty incredible. Like, what would you say to people who, this is a two-parter, what would you say to people who are thinking about making a move or are just starting out already in makeup artistry? And what would you say to people who have been in the industry for a little while and are just kind of stagnant? Maybe they don't retail product. Maybe they haven't even thought of that yet. Like, what would your advice be to those types of people?
Absolutely. So your first question, what would my advice be to people who, are kind of on the fence about it? So it's a really good question because I have a couple girls that are in that position. Kaylin's actually on the call. Well, she's watching. So
hi, Kaylin.
As I started, I brought Kaylin into the business. I met Kaylin playing volleyball. She was a beauty blogger. She works full time doing like graphic design, like marketing stuff. So we were very, very similar. And she overheard me one day talking about makeup, and she's like, "You do makeup?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I do beauty blog. I've been wanting to get into makeup." And I think my advice to her was kind of like, absolutely, come on, like, come watch what I do. And it's just kind of been spiraling. And I think my advice is, I think people feel like it has to be an instant thing, right? We didn't just wake up one day and start a 9 to 5 job and we kicked ass at it and made $50,000. It doesn't happen overnight. Your business is what you make out of it. And, I see these people, I see friends who are trying to run businesses, and they're kind of doing it for the wrong reasons. I think people go into business for themselves thinking that, I was guilty of thinking that they'll have more time, and sometimes, that is true, but in the beginning it's a lot of work. You have to work up to a point where you get that freedom, right? So I think my advice is be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work, and sometimes it's going to take a lot more work than you might have to do in the 9 to 5. I'll be 100% honest. I feel like I work much harder at my makeup business than I do my 9 to 5 job. Because my 9 to 5 job, someone's already told me what the ABCs are of my job. I'm just following the rules, right? Someone else has already decided what that business is. My personal business, it's always growing. The potential for growth is what I make it. The growth is where I set it. And it goes for anybody. And I think people get scared making change. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing right away. For those people who are brave enough and just quit their jobs and are like, I'm going to do Market America, I'm going to do motives, that's amazing. It's amazing. Like, I wish I had that. I am not that kind of person. I value stability, so my 9 to 5 is there because it provides stability. I just bought a new house. Everybody's different. You know, some people, you know, I need the structure and the health insurance, quite frankly, with Obamacare. You know, I think we're all kind of like, we don't know what's going on. So I do get a lot of that from my full-time job. And right now for me, the goal is always to work for myself and only for myself. It's just not today. It doesn't have to be today. I think that would be what, you know, like it's kind of like what I'm working on with Kaylin right now. It's just, it doesn't have to be instant. You know, I didn't wake up like this and just was successful booking 60 weddings a year. It happened quickly. My first year I booked 12 weddings and I advertised 12 weddings in 2000 and I want to say it would have been 13. What are we at, 16? 12. I think my first wedding was in 2012. Like my first, I'm a makeup artist wedding, right? Like I had done some stuff like before that, but I think it was 2012, my first summer.
Hold the phone. 2012, 2013, 12 weddings.
Yeah.
2016, 62 weddings.
Yeah.
3 years.
Last year I booked just under 50. So it's it's been crazy. I just kind of sit back. I'm like, I don't know what happened. Okay, we're doing this.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
so,
we're gonna get back to that in a second.
Yeah, we have to get back to that. So, but I didn't want to ask because I think you had to answer the second part of the question yet.
Okay, and I apologize, Jack. What was the second part?
What would your advice be to people who have been makeup artists or salon owners? Not that, you know, I know you can't really talk to salon owners, but like people in the professional beauty industry who are just kind of like they feel stale right now. They just don't know what to do. What would your advice be?
Great question, because I'm going through this, and I don't know if she's on here, but I have had a couple girls who have reached out to me who have considered branding and aligning with motives, right? So they chose a different route. They chose companies who not geared towards professionals, right? Who don't have the resources and the tools to skyrocket their business. In my opinion, it's like when you brand yourself with a company that doesn't have your back as a professional, and it's just about commission, right? You've capped your business, you've capped your clientele, and you've capped your potential. So with motives, there's no cap. There's no ceiling to what I can do. That's where I put it. And you know, with these salons and with other makeup artists, I have a friend, a very dear friend, who I've been trying to get into motives, and she chose to go to a counter brand, which is a great, reputable brand. She does an amazing job. Love to have her on my team. However, when she sells products, she's making somebody else rich. You know, she definitely is getting commission on it, but she's not getting the full potential, and she's still not making her own schedule. You know, branding, unless you're really in a marketing person, you really will never truly understand the importance of your brand. We are walking billboards. Every single thing that comes out of my mouth, every single thing I put on my face, every single thing I wear, every time I walk out of the house, people are watching what I'm doing, especially on social media. People who I've never spoken to, who have never liked or commented on anything, will message me out of the blue, I want to buy some makeup. What's that lipstick you have on? And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. But okay, let's buy some lipstick. Like,
Exactly.
It's stressful. You know, I will tell you, I pride myself in being put together and going out. Jack knows there's been some really weird things that have happened to me lately with these recent awards. People are recognizing me in public, and it's really weird. Like, they're following me around in bars. Like, oh my God, I follow you on Instagram. I love your work. And I'm like, I need to buy lipstick. And I'm like, okay. Or foundation. It's always lipstick or foundation. Those are the two things people always ask me out in public. And, you know, I just, in retrospect, I can't say enough how important, like, aligning myself with motives has been for me. Aside from the products, aside from just how amazing they are and what the product and retail side has done for my business, the peers that, you know, Jack and you, Leigh, and, you know, Jacqueline has, I'm just going to toot her horn for a second, you know, has been my greatest ally in the last year to help me run my business. And she gets nothing from it, nothing financially from helping me. And I can ask her any question. I can cry on her shoulder, complain about crazy clients, and she gives me advice. And
she gets it.
And it's so selfless. And just, I know that, you know, I try not to abuse it, but I know that when I have questions that she's there, and because we're all on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I think to kind of root back to the original question of, you know, for people who are in the industry now, I think it's important for you just to look at what are the products you're using now doing for you. And, you know, if it's not working, it's time to rethink things. And it's time to ask yourself, you don't have to do makeup to sell makeup. A part of, like, my, you know, economic background is beauty products are an impulse buy. The beauty industry is the only industry that doesn't suffer in recession. I know we get some slow times with the holidays, but when people are stressed about money, they still need to feel good, they're still buying makeup. I mean, when I'm stressed, my makeup doesn't suffer. Me buying the makeup that I need or that I want is not where I cut our expenses. And statistics show that when things are tough, women are still buying beauty products because they need it to feel good about themselves, especially when things are tough. So I would love to see the statistics right now with this election going on, because I have bought more makeup, I think, in the last 3 months than I have my entire life, and I'm just going to blame it on the election. We won't name any names.
Well, and honestly, I have to back up, because the other thing, no, I'm not even gonna lie. The other thing is Motives is exclusive, so it can't be found just anywhere. So, you know, that's why we're really big on having people represent us properly and having professionals that are able to, you know, work with the customer one-on-one, helping them select colors and things like that. But that's great for you as an artist, because they have to come to you. And we're one of the top trending makeup brands on social media, like Instagram. So people are seeing it and they're like, oh my gosh, where is it? Where can I get it? So when they see you with Motives, they're like, oh, I can get it from Rachel. So that's powerful. And being from the salon background, that was extremely important, because almost all of our retail ended up in stores. So, so yeah, I mean, that's huge in itself. But I have to ask, how do you advertise? Like, how do you get all these weddings? Because that is one thing that people always come to me and they're like, you know, how do I promote myself, and how do I get my name out there, and how do I book weddings, and how do I get busy so that I'm making money? So how did you do that?
Okay, so I get asked this question a lot, and I always want to start with, you have to make sure your skills are up to par before you start advertising as a makeup artist, okay? I did things completely backwards. I am not advertising that's how you should do it. I mean, now that I know what I was doing and the risk I was putting my clients at because I didn't know proper sanitation, I'm very embarrassed. I have learned a lot in the last couple years about sanitation and just professionalism and having a contract and how much time I need. And, you know, so first and foremost, educate yourself. Find someone who knows what they're doing, who's willing to take the time to teach you. If you have to pay them, you pay them. If you have to go to makeup school, go to makeup school. Find someone online who's reputable, like Sonia Roselli, Erica Carr. They're both very successful. They both specialize in bridal, but other things too. And they offer education. I have now since done that stuff, have come a long way, but I don't encourage anyone just to pick up a makeup brush and be like, I'm a makeup artist. It's very, very, very dangerous, and you could lose a lot by touching someone who when you don't know what you're doing. So with all that said, I know I did everything wrong, and I turned out okay. It's really hard to give people advice. It's like one of those things, like, do as I say, not as I did, because I am the exception.
You learned about from that.
You know, I'm learning a lot of stuff the hard way. I do believe sometimes that's the only way to learn. I didn't, like I said, 3 years ago, I didn't have anyone telling me how to start my business. I didn't know that I needed a contract. I didn't know that I needed to be sanitizing things properly. I knew some things, like I wasn't using mascara wands out of the mascara. But that is stuff I have now learned that is priceless. And when I started, one of my really good friends was a professional photographer, a very good, very reputable photographer in the Cleveland area. And she saw that I had been, with my blogging and stuff, saw that I had been posting makeup. I really had not done any clients yet, not anything besides like my best friend or whatever that I might have posted a couple before and afters. And she said, hey, I'm going to do a boudoir marathon. I'd love to give you the exposure. I need a makeup artist. I can't pay you a lot, but I think these images would really help you grow. And I'm like, sold, and I never liked doing anything for free. And I didn't work for free. I worked for cheaper, but I didn't work for free. But there's nothing wrong with working for free if it's going to help your career grow. Sometimes in the beginning, it's an investment. You have to say, if I do this, if I give them this service for free, is more business going to come from this? Is this going to give me exposure? Is it going to expose me to more future clients? And if the answer is yes, it's worth doing it for free. If the answer is I don't know, or if other people are getting paid, like when you get into the industry, there's like this trade, trade for trade, where no one gets paid, everyone just trades their services. If you think it's going to be beneficial, absolutely do it. I'm a little bit more hesitant now, but 3-4 years ago, I knew that I needed a portfolio, first and foremost as a makeup artist, because I don't have a salon for them to walk into. I had to have something visible from their computers that they could see my quality of work. I knew that these images were I didn't know how impactful they'd be, but I knew that they were important. So I did this boudoir session. You can actually see them behind me. These are two of the girls that I did. The images.
Oh my God, beautiful.
So this is like from 3-4 years ago, from my friend who's a photographer.
Wow.
Her studio is Perception Studios, and you can tell the images. We call it like modern day glam, modern day boudoir. It doesn't have to be naked. It's just whatever makes the woman feel beautiful. The images were, like, in my opinion, earth shattering. Like the makeup, it just photographed beautiful. I was using motives, and it really set the tone for my business. And if I hadn't had that opportunity, again, I don't know where I'd be. And I used those images to start advertising myself. So I started my Facebook page. And what I did was actually I changed my blog. I changed the name from Diary of a Pretty Girl to Makeup by Rachel Lorraine. So the page that you see on Facebook now, that's Makeup by Rachel Lorraine, it was originally Diary of a Pretty Girl. So I kind of stole some clients that way. I was like, hey guys, follow me over to my makeup business, which is really kind of what people wanted anyway, so it worked out. And I basically just cut out anything that wasn't beauty related, and I just focused mostly on makeup at that point. And I started using Thumbtack. So my first year, I don't remember who or how I got introduced to it, but I got introduced to Thumbtack. I had these images. I had a couple before and afters from a couple clients that I had done, and I started advertising on Thumbtack. So for those of you who are not familiar with what Thumbtack is, it is you go on there as a client. You're like, hey, I'm getting married on this date. This is where we're getting married. I'm going to repeat myself. We're getting married here. Here's the date. How many people? This is what we need. As a professional, I see this request come through. It's like, Amanda's getting married on October 15th. Are you available? And I'm like, if I'm available, I could pay a couple dollars to send her a quote. It's like $2 or $3 to tell her, hey, this is all of my information. It's basically a quote. I sent her an email with all of my info. I only have to pay for those I want to send info to. It's like the perfect advertising, opportunity, because I'm only paying for jobs that I am interested in. And so I love the idea. And I did a analysis my first year. I booked 98% of the weddings I bid on. I mean, it just was insane.
Wow.
I didn't bid on a lot, but I booked 98% within my first 2 years. And my prices were low then, so I think that was part of it. My portfolio, I mean, these images are gorgeous, and my prices didn't quite match up with what I should have been charging. Again, I learned some things the hard way. So once I build up that clientele, again, I have a couple of friends that have salons. I made sure to network with them, reconnecting. If I wasn't talking to them regularly, I reached out and was like, hey, have you seen that I started this makeup business? And they're like, yeah, I saw what's going on. Like, things look good. Like, and they started referring clients to me. And then my friend at Perception, Laura, she started referring clients to me. She loved the work, loved the images, so she actually gives my business card out to all of her brides. She gives them a little welcome package, and she's like, if you haven't already, you need to hire a makeup artist. This is the makeup artist I recommend. I have done many, many, many projects with her. I get many clients from her. So to summarize, the relationships I have with other professionals has been critical. She's not the only. Now I have several other photographers that I have really bonded with, and they also, I think I'm on the top vendor list for like 8 photographers in my area. Like, if you search makeup in Cleveland, I pop up on like 10 different websites. It's crazy.
That's so important, though. That's so important. Your relationships with other professionals, networking yourself. Yeah. I mean, word of mouth is the best advertising.
You have to believe in yourself, but other people also have to believe in you. And I can tell you I'm amazing, but when other people tell you I'm amazing, you're going to believe it. When the third person's now told you, it just, your reputation, I take it very seriously. And I hold myself to a really high standard. And again, the branding is, when you look at me compared to some of the other local makeup artists, my website is strong. My Facebook is strong. I'm very active on Facebook. I'm always interacting, posting tons of pictures. I don't post as much anymore because I don't need to as much. But when I first started, it was like once a week I made sure I posted something. And I was always posting before and afters to just build up, people recognizing me as a makeup artist. I don't advertise at all anymore. For 2 years, I did not spend a penny on advertising last year, and I have not spent a penny at all in 16. And I do not anticipate spending anything at 17 either. At this point, it's all referrals.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Wow. When
I think about it, and it's crazy. I'm not making millions of dollars yet. It's been a crazy roller coaster. To think that 4 years ago I was just some girl sitting in a cubicle that played on the computer and liked to change my color of lip gloss every day, to being #1 in Cleveland. I could have never predicted this.
I mean, listen, I could have. I think if any of us knew you back then, I have a feeling we wouldn't be surprised right now, because you have such drive just in your everyday life, and just knowing you for the past year and getting to know you much better, since maybe May. Or like maybe before May. But before we end out, because we only have 5 more minutes, this has gone by so quickly, I want to make sure that just in case any of our live viewers, if you guys have any questions for Rachel or for Leigh or for me, please ask them now so we can do our best to answer them before we get off. I also want to just ask you if there's anything, Rachel, that you might be adding to your, list of services, anything that you might think about for this year or the future?
So I hate you and I love you. So something that we have at our disposal that is going to be life-changing for me is our custom blend product line. So I know that Modus offers a custom blend, and I've played with it. I've done the training. I'm actually certified to do it. I did do the training. I just have not invested in the products yet. So we offer custom blend liquid and custom blend powders. So with that, my ceiling, I have set my ceiling right now, and I'm going to take the ceiling off, and I'm going to start offering custom blend. Now that I'm so far into this, I realize how important it is. It is an investment. It's not cheap. But it's value. When you look at the value that I'm bringing, it's cheap, right? So I'm going to make the money back in a couple of days, probably a week. I probably can make the money that I'm going to spend if I focus on it and say I'm going to do this. But with custom, it just to be fair, for people who might feel a little overwhelmed, I basically custom blend everyone anyways. So just because the products are prepackaged doesn't mean that I'm really limited, because I still custom blend things. And I mix our primer in with our foundation and our moisturizer, and I still make BB creams. Now, I can't really retail that, right, because it's just kind of an on-the-spot thing. So that's really where the custom blend, which I can see behind Leigh back there, where we get our blues and our reds and our yellows and our, I can't remember what is all in there, anti-aging and dewy and matte and, whatever. That's really where I'll be able to actually retail custom blended foundations for my clients. And I know that once I do it, everything will change, and then I definitely will be ahead of my competition. So,
yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna set a date. I'm gonna do it now so that Jack can hold me accountable.
And everybody else.
By June 1st of this year, I'm going to have custom blend liquid. June 1st.
Yay!
Okay? Yes.
So, I'm going to try to do both of them, but I'm going to start with the liquid, and I promise by June 1st I will have the liquid.
I accept.
Excellent.
We do have a couple questions. Well, Kaylin wants to know, are you guys planning on doing more webinars like once a month? Kaylin, we have a ton of webinars that are pre-recorded, just like this one, that are up on both my YouTube channel and as well as Leigh's YouTube channel. So you can just search for our names, and actually I will put our info back up there right now for everybody. And yes is the answer. We will absolutely have more webinars. We're planning on doing them every other Wednesday. So so that's your answer for that. And then we have another question. Amy Lewis. Hi, Amy. Amy and I spoke the other day. Actually, we had a little video chat, and she wants to know if there are any custom blending training opportunities coming up in Ohio. So, Leigh, do you happen to know anything about that? Because I know Leigh is a trainer.
I don't know if there's anything scheduled, but if there is enough interest in a training, we can definitely set something up for the area. So, because we have trainers all over the world. So what's really cool about I'm like, oh, who did that? So yeah, so we can definitely if you want to talk to Jacqueline or Rachel, we will definitely get something scheduled in the area if there's enough interest. I would love to come there, so can hang out with Rachel.
It says unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. What happened?
So
Can you hear us?
weird.
It like keeps shutting us off because we're over time.
I don't
That's so
know.
weird.
That was the weirdest thing.
All
That's
right.
never
So
happened
That was so
before.
weird. So, okay, thank you, Maria, for telling us that there is no audio. Amy, I'll talk to you offline about this. Can you guys hear it now, though? Yes?
Yeah, Jack, I heard you talk about, or Leigh at least talk about the potential of doing the training if we got enough interest. What I
Okay,
would say is
perfect.
I will definitely be in touch with you guys because I have a couple leads. So on top of like the makeup action, my business doing well, what also happens, we didn't really get into this, is now I have other people that want to be a part of my business. I have a couple salons in the works, a couple other makeup artists. So I definitely think we probably can do a training in 17. I think I don't know what the normal interest is or what the limit will be, but I could see that if we all put our heads together and get me focused on expanding the business and not just doing the business, I definitely think we could get some interest there.
Awesome. We have Amina, I see you. Amina, we don't have time to get into everything right now. Yes, there are training classes in NYC, and you can I'm in New Jersey, so if you want to contact me about that, I can look it up for you and all of that. So, all right, guys, we are 2 minutes over time. Rachel, you are awesome, and I love you to death. You're my friend, and I love you.
I love you too. For people who don't know, Jacqueline and I met on Facebook like a year and a half ago, and we drove 3.5 hours one way each to Pennsylvania, some small town in Pennsylvania, so that we could meet like creepers, and we totally spent the night together on our first date.
We had a slumber party. We had a new friend slumber party. It was so fun. So
Yeah.
on that note, follow us. Our contact information is all there. Make sure you follow us. Reach out to us if you have any questions, and let's cheers before we end the recording. Cheers. All right. Thank you guys so
everybody.
much. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.